My father-in-law ripped up my disability check in front of everyone. Real men work, not live off handouts. My wife said nothing as he threw the pieces at me. What he didn't realize was that the postman who delivered it was still at the door. He cleared his throat and said, "Sir, that's a federal crime." My father-in-law, Robert, tore the check in half, then in half again. White confetti of federal currency fluttering onto the mahogany dining table, landing in my wife's chocolate mousse. $1,843. My disability check. Gone. "This is what I think of handouts," Robert said. 12 pairs of eyes watched him throw the scraps at me. They hit my chest, scattered across the floor. "Maybe now you'll get off your ass and find real work." I sat there frozen. Pieces of Social Security checks scattered around me like evidence at a crime scene. That's when Carl spoke. "Sir!" Everyone turned. The mailman was still standing in the doorway, still holding his leather satchel, still in his blue USPS uniform with 23 years of service pins on the collar. I'd forgotten he was there. "That's a federal crime." I'd been married to Lisa for 4 years. We met at a community college fundraiser where she was volunteering, and I was donating materials from the construction company I worked for. Got married at her parents' church in Tacoma. Small ceremony, 50 people. The first 3 years were great. I was making decent money as a construction foreman, $58,000 a year plus overtime. We'd saved for a house down payment. We were talking about kids. Then came November 17th, 2021. I was on the 3rd floor of a commercial build in downtown Seattle, coordinating a steel beam installation. The rigging failed. A 2-ton I-beam, 20 feet long, swung loose from the crane cable, hit me square in the lower back, drove me into the concrete floor. I remember the sound, like a tree branch snapping. But the branch was my spine. 2 shattered vertebrae, L4 and L5. Herniated discs, nerve damage. The orthopedic surgeon told me I was lucky to walk. "But you'll never do physical labor again. Your back can't take it. 20 pounds is your max lifting capacity. Anything more risks permanent paralysis." I'd been out of work for 3 years. After 18 months, workers' comp determined I'd reached maximum medical improvement. Translation, this was as good as I was going to get. So I applied for Social Security disability. The process took 14 months. Forms, medical records, 3 separate examinations, a hearing before an administrative law judge who reviewed my case and determined that yes, a man with 2 shattered vertebrae qualified as disabled. The approval letter arrived in March. Monthly checks of $1,843. Not enough to live on comfortably, but enough to keep the lights on while I figured out what came next. Lisa had been supportive at first. "We'll get through this," she'd said after my injury. But as months turned into years, I saw the doubt creep in. The way she looked at me when I couldn't help move furniture. The silence when her friends talked about their husbands' promotions. Her family, especially Robert, had been worse. Robert Mitchell was a retired Boeing engineer, 67 years old, worked for 42 years before retiring with a full pension. Self-made man, he liked to remind everyone he'd never hidden his disappointment in me. "When I was your age, I was providing for my family," he'd said at Thanksgiving last year. "Not sitting around collecting government checks." "I'm not sitting around, I'm recovering from a workplace injury." Excuses. My father broke his back in a mining accident and still worked until he was 70. Medicine has evolved since then. Doctors actually tell people not to cause permanent damage now. Robert had glared at me. Soft generation. Every family dinner followed the same pattern. Robert would make comments about able-bodied men or welfare queens. I'd bite my tongue. Lisa would stay silent. Today's Sunday dinner had started normally enough. Click here to watch next.